to our webinar. Tonight, I am actually traveling right now, so I am calling you from a little back hallway in at the Atlanta airport. So I apologize for the sound effects if you get some. This is our Tuesday animal webinar. It's Tuesday, February 26th, and my name is Beth Wofford. I am from Lexington, Kentucky. I'm a thoroughbred horse trainer with my husband, Bill, on our farm in Lexington. We have a few housekeeping tips before we start into our wonderful speaker. First, we ask that you please do not record these presentations because we're recording them on your behalf. You can access the recordings at www.animalwebinar.com. And there is an entire library now of archived animal webinars, and we certainly encourage you to share those with people. These webinars take place at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific on the fourth Tuesday of every month. This is our first time in a different time slot. So this is our first webinar. We're changing to the fourth Tuesday of every month, but that is going to be what we're going to be going forward. So please mark your calendars accordingly. And finally, and most importantly, please understand that we do not make any medical claims of any sort. We are in no way suggesting that you do not call your veterinarian or that you ignore their advice should your animal need medical care. These molecules do not heal or cure anything, but they just help every single living cell in every living body work the way they're designed to work so that the body can heal itself. But also keep in mind that these products are 100% safe. You can't overdose. They can't hurt your animals in any way. So feel free to use them in copious quantities with any animal that crosses your path, including yourself. Tonight, our featured guest is Chrissy Brand, calling in from Montana. Chrissy has been an RN for over 35 years. She has a Master's of Science in Nursing, and she is a certified biofeedback specialist and the owner of a health and wellness business. She is currently working as a hospice nurse and lives in Helena, Montana. She's married with 2 grown sons. Her passion are family, nursing, and pet therapy. After learning that the redox signaling molecules could be given to animals, she began giving this supplement to her dogs. She will share how this amazing product has improved the health and life of her beloved pets. And I'm just going to add a little caveat here because I believe anyone does have a special, but nurses that help people die with dignity are really special people. So Chrissy, I appreciate you so much, and we are so excited you're here with us tonight. So take it away and share your story with us.
All right. Well, thanks, Beth. I'm glad to have an opportunity to share how the redox molecules are making a difference in the health and life of my pets as well as myself. So I'm going to just share a little bit about myself. I'm going to talk a little bit about the redox molecules and then share my pet stories. So, like I said, my name is Chrissy Brand. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for over 35 years. I've done a lot of different areas of nursing, like diabetes educator, dialysis nurse, worked on a medical, surgical, and psych floors, did ER. And as Beth already mentioned, I have a Master's of Science in Nursing that I obtained in 2011 from the University of Phoenix. And I'm currently a hospice RN, and I own a health and wellness business, BioLife Wellness Technologies. Just a little bit about myself. I was raised on a farm and ranch in northeastern Montana in a little tiny town called Poplar. It's located on the Fort Peck Indian Reservation, and I'm just proud to let you know that I'm an enrolled member of the Assiniboine and Sioux tribes, which are the primary tribes in that particular reservation. Montana actually has 7 reservations, with Crow being the largest, having around 11,000 enrolled members, and then Fort Peck, where I'm from, actually has about 10,000 members. So just wanted to show you, this is what Montana is looking right now. We're hoping that the snow has reached its maximum, but I'm sure our Minnesota, North Dakota, and Canadian friends can relate to the snow. So this is the farm that I grew up on in northeastern Montana. As the youngest of 7 children, we raised cattle and horses and farmed. Growing up, I had the privilege of owning 2 brown and white pinto horses that my mom and dad purchased for me. They were a full brother and sister. And I could do anything on those 2 horses, barrel race, pole bend, rope. But notice the little river there, the little creek, it's Poplar Creek. In the summertime, when it'd be really hot, we'd take the horses down and dive off their backs into the water and get pulled in the water by hanging onto their tails. So that was a lot of fun. Now I live in Helena, Montana. I've been here about 20 years. Helena is the capital of Montana. And as you can see on the right there, that's the Capitol building. On the left is one of our breathtaking historical cathedrals. It's the Cathedral of St. Helena. It was built in 1908. And then if you look above there, I have a couple of arrows, little orange arrows. That's the Sleeping Giant Mountain. I don't know if you can notice his nose and beard, and then where the other arrow is, there is his big belly. And that's quite the sight. It's really breathtaking to be able to see it. Just, you can see it most places around Helena. You can view it from in Helena anywhere. So we have a lot of different lakes here around the Helena area. I'm just going to mention a couple of them. The first one is Canyon Ferry Lake. It's located about 20 miles east of Helena, and it's a reservoir on the Missouri River that was formed by the building of the Canyon Ferry Dam. It's Montana's 3rd largest body of water, and it's about 35,000 acres and 76 miles of shoreline. It's also a popular outdoor destination, providing boating, fishing, and wildlife habitat. So the other lake I'm going to mention is Hauser Lake. It's about 14 miles from Helena, and it was created by the Hauser Dam. It yields rainbow and brown trout, walleye, and perch, and it's a big takeoff point for boating, fishing, and water skiing. We also have a bunch of hiking trails. I'm just going to mention a couple. Mount Ascension on the left there, it's like a 3-mile loop that has really beautiful wildflowers, and it's used for hiking, trail running, and mountain biking, and you can also take your dogs up on the trail. The other one is the Mount Helena, and it's part of the Mount Helena City Park. It's almost 5,500 feet above sea level, and there's a lot of trails that lead up to this point, and they're usually moderate to hard trails. But once you get on top there, you can look down and see all of the city of Helena. It's quite pretty. So before I talk about the dogs, I just wanted to talk a little bit about cellular health. Humans, plants, and animals all live and die at the cellular level. So if our cells are healthy, we're going to be healthy. We all know that we start out in this life as a cell, then we become tissues, then organs, systems, and to become us. But part of the cellular development is to create us is made with these redox signaling molecules. They're the communication between ourselves that govern how all other systems of the body work. And even though they're just starting to study redox signaling, it's one of the cutting edge scientific research subjects right now. And there's scientific validation to go with that. It's one of the fastest growing fields, and there's over 10,000 peer-reviewed articles published on redox molecules. So why do we need these redox signaling molecules? Well, they're the tiny cellular messengers that regulate every major body system. Without them, life is unsustainable. They're very important in activating our antioxidant production, providing critical cell-to-cell communication, and they're important in the activation of genes. They're made in every cell of our bodies, so just think about that. Our brain cell, our liver cell, our lung cells, skins, just every area. And if we don't have them functioning appropriately in those different areas, then we're gonna see some kind of cellular breakdown. I wanted just to mention really briefly, there was a gene study done in 2017 by Tarrant Laboratories. They're a leading genetic laboratory. And what they found when they tested the supplements, the redox molecules, just a second here. The redox molecules signal the activation of genetic pathways and affect genes that improve 5 areas. And these 5 areas that it improved was hormone modulation, immune system, healthy digestion, cardiovascular health, and inflammatory response. So what that means is that what they found with this study is that sometimes the genes are turned off because there's a disruption in the cellular communication, but the supplement helps turn the genes back on so you can return to a state of balance in our body or just the system that might be affected. So now I'm going to talk about my beloved pets. Here's all 3 of them. They're always 3 little peas in a pod. Bert and Marbles are, excuse me. Bert and Marbles are always together. Marbles is a chug. He's a Chihuahua pug. And Bert is a Chihuahua Papillon. And Lucy is a Border Collie cross. So I'm just going to talk about each one of them and how the molecules have helped improve their quality of life. Lucy, we got her when she was 1 year old. We rescued her at one of the shelters. She's 4 now. But ever since we've had her, she's had these chronic digestive issues where she alternates between getting diarrhea and constipation. She had the stool tested and there was nothing abnormal in the stool samples that were taken. We've tried changing her dog food. We'd give her chicken and rice and pumpkin depending on which digestive issue was happening. And then finally I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give her the supplement and see what happens. And so I started her on the supplement about 6 months ago. And within 1 week of starting her on an ounce of the redox molecules, her digestive problems are over. She's just doing fine. But if I don't give them to her, they seem to return. So something is miscommunicating in her gut and that she needs those molecules to help the gut to become healthy. This is Bert. He's a Chihuahua Papillon. He's a rescue puppy. We got him when he was 4 months old. And then this is the other picture of him when he was about 2 or 3 years old. Isn't it amazing what love does and how it transforms not only humans but pets? So this is Bert now. He is 5. He just turned 5. He's a registered pet therapy dog. We've been doing that for about 3 years now. So in November 2015, we became a registered pet therapy team. In November of 2016, he became a registered READ dog, and READ stands for Reading Education Assistance Dog, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So in December of 2017, he began limping on his left front shoulder, and we didn't know what he did. He would limp for a few days, and then he wouldn't, and then he would, and then he wouldn't. Then he got to the point where it was all the time. So I took him into the vet, and he he was diagnosed with a soft tissue injury by the vet. We started him on some anti-inflammatory medication, but he did not improve. It just seemed like it didn't affect him at all. And I'm more of a natural health type person, and so the less medication that I can give to myself or my animals, I like that. So in January of 2018, I decided to start him on the redox molecules, and I started him on an ounce. And for him, interesting enough, so with Lucy, it took a week for her digestive issues to resolve. It took him 3 weeks on the product before we noticed that he wasn't limping anymore. So this was January of 18. Now we're fast forward to February of 2019. He's had no recurrence of the injury on that maintenance dose of an ounce. And, I guess I could have stopped probably taking him off of it, but, he's a madman. He still jumps off the bed, the couch, the patio. And so I just do it because he's my primary therapy dog. I take him to most of my visits, and I need him in the best health possible. And so that's why I have just chosen to continue to keep him on it. So this is the dog that started the whole thing about giving my pets the redox signaling molecules. This is Marbles. He came to live with us when he was 3 months old. That was May of 2012. In November of 2012, he was about 9 months old. He began limping, had a staggered gait. He couldn't even hardly get up from a lying position. And so when that happened, I took him in, and in December of 2012, when he was 10 months old, he was diagnosed with this genetic hip disorder. And what this particular disorder does is it causes a reduction of the blood flow to the femoral heads. And when that happens, it causes the animal extreme pain. And that's why he was limping and he couldn't get up. When the diagnosis came, the vet had said, let's manage him with pain medication. And when that doesn't help any longer, then we need to surgically remove both of the femoral heads. And being a healthcare professional and seeing, pugs have those scrunched in faces, they're already at risk to have any type of surgery done, just because of that, their respiratory status. And the other thing, being a healthcare professional, not every surgical outcome is positive. And because I know that, and I just chose not to take that risk, and instead decided to try and use some of the modalities that I had in my home, which was biofeedback. I have a biofeedback machine, and it's a natural pain management technology. And I know that this machine works because I had chronic pain for over 15 years, was introduced to the biofeedback, and with 6 months, I was pain-free and off all medications, and that has been 6 years ago. So I knew that this biofeedback would help with his pain management, and it did. And I also did took him to a gal that did cranial sacral therapy because it helps to keep the leg muscles from tightening up. So I wanted to show you what the X-ray looks like. I took this off the internet, but just to kind of give you an idea of the destruction that it does to the femoral head. If you see it on the left, if you're looking at the screen on the left there, and then what the normal hip is supposed to look like. And unfortunately for Marbles, both hips were affected. And so I was just pretty devastated and thinking that I probably wasn't going to have him for very long because I wasn't going to allow him to live a life of pain. And I didn't know if post-surgery, if I did choose that later on, if he would end up having all kind of back problems and end up with a lot of pain anyway. And I, being someone who lived in pain for a long time, I wasn't going to allow my pet to live like that. So what I'm showing you here is biofeedback, what it looks like if a person's getting biofeedback versus a dog. This is just a dog I got off the internet. So with Marbles, when I used the biofeedback, I would just put the mat on the couch, lift him up, put him on the mat, and he would just sit there. It was like he knew that when he was done with that session, he was going to feel better. And he did. He would usually, I knew he was starting to have pain when he'd limp, and so I'd run a session. And so I had to do about 2 to 3 sessions a month to keep his pain in control. And then I also took him to a lady that I know that does craniosacral therapy, and it basically what that does is allows the animal to, quote, unwind the kinks and twists in their fascia that is caused from repeated stresses. So this is Marbles now. So after 9 to 10 months of doing the biofeedback, I learned that people were giving their animals the redox signaling molecules. So just to kind of recap here, so in December of 2012, he was diagnosed with a genetic hip disorder. I used the craniosacral therapy and the biofeedback until October of 2013, at which time I started him on an ounce of the supplement every day. And he is my little amazing story. He had the worst condition, and yet he had the fastest benefit. Within 3 days, his limping was over, and he's been fine. I mean, it's been 5 years, and he has been fine. So after a couple years, I mean, I didn't even really think about, wasn't really paying attention. It was just something I did every day, just gave him the molecules, didn't really think much of it. And then finally I'm like, wait a minute. I was worried that he probably wasn't even going to live to be very old because he was going to have pain. He's not having pain. He needs a job. He needs to not just sit around and be cute. So in May of 2017, I worked with him, and we became a registered pet therapy team with the Intermountain Therapy animals. And then the following month, we also got registered in the Reading Education Assistance Dog Program. So now we're looking, so fast forward to February of 2019, I now give him 2 ounces of the redox molecules, and there's 2 reasons for that. One is that the weather is really harsh here in the winter, and I just know it makes him more comfortable with the cold weather. And the other thing is he's getting older. He was, quite young when I started him on it, well, 5 years ago. And so just for that fact, I just decided to bump him up to 2 ounces a day. And he continues to have no pain. He's not requiring any type of pain medication, excuse me, or biofeedback. But I have continued with the craniosacral therapy visits, but just once in a while, just like a little tune-up. So I just wanted to mention this briefly, the Intermountain Therapy animals. There's 2 programs within this organization. One is the volunteer therapy program, and the mission of the therapy program is it's enhancing quality of life through human-animal bond. And it was created in 1993 in Salt Lake City. Then in 1999, they developed the Reading Education Assistance Program. And that mission is to improve the literacy skills of children through the assistance of registered therapy teams as literacy mentors. And the READ program is all over the world. It's like in the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Italy, Finland, it's everywhere. Excuse me. And it's a really fascinating program. The research showed that if you catch kids between third and fourth grade and they're having difficulty reading, and you just have the dog, you take the dog once a week to the school. They read to the kid, the kid reads to the dog for like 15 minutes. Within that school year, that child will have increased their literacy skills by 1 to 2 grades. That's how powerful this reading program is, because the kids don't, they're not stressed, they're not embarrassed, and they're very relaxed. And so they're able to just accelerate in their reading skills. So it's really cool. So I really, if you have any programs that are similar to that, I would encourage you to get involved, because it's extremely rewarding. And that's my story of my 3 little guys. Well, 2 guys and a girl. And that's all.
Chrissy, thank you so much. Need another career in the Chamber of Commerce for the Helena, Montana. I want to move to Helena now. It was so beautiful. But thank you. I think it bears repeating again how you did talk to your vet, and you got a definitive diagnosis. How we've already gone through the vet is a great idea. So I want to just tell people that, or reiterate that issue, or that point. Our next animal webinar, I thank you so much, job, and what a beautiful canine family you have. But our next animal webinar is on March 26th, which is the 4th Tuesday of March, and we would love to see everyone then. This recording will be posted on animalwebinar.com within probably 24 hours, so please. Thanks again, Chrissy. You were fabulous.
Oh,
we're getting a lot of comments from the participants saying that they enjoyed it so much, so that's great.
Oh, that's
wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, and have a great evening. Take care, everybody.
You too. Thanks.